Well, Cody and Matt, good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
Good to be here, man.
Man, it feels like we're doing a ton of these now, and but I've never interviewed you two guys together, which I'm super excited about. When I first heard "Run to the Father" and I realized that you guys wrote this together, it made me really happy. I was like, man, then you start hearing within the song, things that you identify with, with each writer. It's like, yeah, I know that's a Cody line. Yeah, I know that's probably a Matt line. But man, what an amazing song. And Cody, maybe start with you to talk a little bit about the story behind this. I mean, this, it's really a heart song. It reminds me so much of obviously the prodigal son, and that story that pretty much lives at some level in all of us. And but talk a little bit about the song and how you guys ended up getting together and working on it.
Yeah, so Matt and Rand and I were just scheduled to write one day, and we got together and started dreaming up and spent a couple hours just digging around as you do, looking for something to write about. And I remember this idea kind of actually surprised all of us that day. Neither of us really brought this idea to the table that day. We kind of just discovered it together. I even remember moments with you, Matt, when just I looked over and like your eyes were lighting up at moments, just realizing like, oh wow, this is really special. What we're kind of coming across here. And so I just remember it being one of those really special days writing, really special moments of just us kind of searching and digging and wanting to write about the love of God, wanting to write about something that we all felt connected to. And I know for me personally, this song, man, it really just came out of a time when since I was about 15 years old, I've had this really special relationship with God as a father. And I just have countless times in my life where I can remember the voice of the Father speaking to me and affirming me and encouraging me. And then as I got older and I was having to make like big decisions, and as I became a husband and a father, and I needed some wisdom, like I've heard this voice like give wisdom in situations that I shouldn't know what to do, or I shouldn't really have on paper. I didn't have anyone really instructing me or telling me these things. I just had this wisdom, and I just know that that's like the voice of God, the voice of a father, just being, he's good in that way. And I know that from just a real relationship, real encounters that I've had with him, and so for me, this song kind of came out of that place. It came out of, man, I've had rough patches with my own earthly father along the way in the last, 5, 6, 7 years. And especially he's kind of just filled those voids. He's kind of come in and so I think I was writing that day from this place of like, man, God, I know how good of a father that you are. I would love to write a song about that. I would love to write a song about what does scripture say about who you are as a father? What's the truth about it? And so that's where you kind of see us pull from all these different, I feel like these truths in the Bible about the prodigal son story. You see us pull in like the fact that God gave his only son for us. Like, what greater sacrifice? I can't imagine giving up Canyon, and so we pull out of that in verse 2. We pull out of, my yoke is easy, my burden is light, like God helping us, and we're not meant to walk through life alone. We have a father who loves us. And so it really was just this celebration that day from what I remember of how good the love of God is, and us all just bringing our different perspectives to it, which is why I love, collaborating on something. It's awesome to see everybody just pitch in their facets of God that they see. So,
yeah. And Matt, it seems like, as people, like one of the hardest things, even as believers, is to fully trust God and know that he's good, like Cody was talking about, and to be willing to, to bring all of our burdens. I love that line in there that I've been carrying these burdens too long on my own, and oftentimes we kind of hold those things back. We keep things on ourselves that we shouldn't, when God is calling us to really, to bring it to him, to trust him. But man, it's such a beautiful picture.
You're absolutely right. What I really quick, I want to honor my brother here. What I remember that day is he came in with a very specific intention, that it took a while to pull it out of him. Everyone was throwing around ideas. When you get a group of really creative people together and people are like, what about this idea? What about this idea? And I just remember staring at him from across the room and going, I think he knows what we need to write about today. And I remember asking him, I was like, what do you want to sing about? And he was like, I want to write about the revelation of the Father's heart.
Mm.
And it was so clear to me because, and I think it's like a really important moment, I think for songwriters, especially in the church, is that so many times God gives us like a glint of an idea, and it's a very specific revelation. And it's not just for the sake of the song. It's part of our sanctification. Part of our journey in Christ is writing the song and how God speaks to us through the writing of the song. And the fact that everyone else gets to sing it and it blesses the church is amazing. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, the three of us were chasing after something that God was trying to say to us specifically. Yeah. And I echo, and I so resonate with Cody, what Cody was saying about God as a father. You know, I think this year I've been walking with Jesus for 25 years. And I think that the hardest thing and the easiest thing for me is this revelation that God is a dad who just is concerned about every aspect of my life. And none of it is too insignificant. And every ounce of it, every part of it matters to him dearly, and he cares. And I think that as a dad too, what I've seen in my life is especially in this season right now in this quarantine, there are moments where my affection for my kids, God turns around and uses as an illustration for his affection for me. And then there's moments where in my shortcomings as a dad, God is still using that as an illustration for how he's not like that, which is really, really good, But I think back to this idea of having a revelation in songwriting and being willing to stick to it. That's what I remember about writing this song. Was I felt like what emerged was a sense of vision for the song and what the song's supposed to say, and we all kind of stuck to it, which is really cool because sometimes when you're writing a song, you can get distracted and you start going off on all these tangents. And I think that's what's so special about this song is we fought really hard for everything to kind of count towards this specific revelation.
Yeah. When Cody, we got to experience just the song, singing it together in a room. When you led this at Worship Together conference last February, and it's a real emotional song because I think, as Matt spoke to, it's like we all have different relationships and different ideas, about what a father is. And, but that chorus and when you sing this song in a group of people, it's a really emotional experience. I mean, what's it like, Ben, leading this song? What have you sensed is happening in the room?
Yeah, I remember that was right after we wrote this song. I couldn't wait to lead it. I had such an urgency to lead it because it's almost like sometimes when you're writing songs, you can see the room, you can see the people. I love visualizing that when I'm writing for the church, the vision that I saw for this song was just people having this deep connection with God. And I was like, I can't wait to do that. And it's crazy. I think every time I've led it, I've felt that in the room. I've seen that in the room. I've seen people have this kind of revelatory experience. I remember the first time I led it at our church, The Belonging, it was in the middle of the worship set, and it was song 3 of 4. And I remember after the song, our pastor stopped everything, came up and gave an altar call on the spot. It doesn't ever happen, and 25 people got saved.
Wow.
Just from the revelation of what they were seeing of God in that worship, experience that day. And then we led it at a few months after that, we led it at a Motion conference, which is where my live video is from that conference. And I remember hearing stories that day of in that moment that there was people that were on staff at the arena that weren't a part of the church. They were just working the event. There was a lady that in the middle of the song, she ran over and found someone that was on staff for the conference. And she said, "Hey, I really want to know Jesus. Can you tell me, what am I supposed to do?" And then there were stories from kids on Instagram. Kids were getting just having this revelation of the goodness of the love of God during this song. And I remember just realizing wow, this is so special. Whatever God's doing in this song and in this moment. And I think as writers, like that's what we're always trying to do, but especially for this song, I mean, I think we all had this like really cohesive desire to really portray the love of God, which is this massive, grand like idea with so many facets, but to tell the story through the lens of the Father, and to tell the story through the lens of like how good he is, how close he is, how much, like, I love what you said, Matt, like how much he cares about every detail, and I love even the imagery in the chorus of my heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. Like those two lines really portray just the fact that, okay, God is close. A surgeon is like in the most intimate details, and he's also like the best at like helping heal those things. He's the best at helping to help just bring those things like to together the way that they're meant to be, and then a friend, like thinking of God as a friend. I know that's a massive revelation for you when you get to that point when you realize like, well, wait, God is a friend. He's not just some like dictator, religious dictator far off that I can't really have a relationship with, or, he's not just some rule maker. And no, God is a friend. Like he cares about my well-being, and he cares about like everything that I'm concerned about. And he wants to walk with me through every season, through every situation, I just love that those images came out in this song, because I think it just portrays that connection in just a beautiful way. And it's powerful to watch in a room, to watch people have that revelation. It's like you can almost see it on their faces, just them having that like eye-opening, like, whoa, this is, revelatory.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so thankful you guys wrote it. I'm thankful that, Cody, you came in with the idea and just wanting to write about the Father's heart. It's a beautiful song. I know it's going to continue to bless the church, and it's just getting started. And so I really thank you guys for taking the time to sit down and talk to us about it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Love it. Great to be here.